Good afternoon, class. It is so lovely to meet you all. I'm so excited for this year and a new batch of students. This is my second time teaching BLAW. I feel like the second time I do any project is always my favorite time because the first time is like just complete freak out and just wish that it ends somewhat well. And then the second time, I'm like not rushing to finish the PowerPoint before every lecture and have a bit of breathing room and can perfect things and use the examples I wish I said the first time. And so I'm super excited. Today's class is going to be really, really light. Just going to introduce you to me, get to know a little bit about you. Don't worry, it'll be online and easy. And then just give you an overview of the course, the syllabus, what to expect out of the assignment. Take any questions that you have. We'll take questions verbally and online just to accommodate different personality preferences. My name is Dima. I'm your instructor. I'm a lawyer by trade. I've been a lawyer for about 8 years now. I originally worked as a litigator and solicitor, so that means I did court disputes as well as drafting contracts and trusts and estates for the first about 5 years of my career. And then in the last 3 or 4 years, I've been in-house in my role at the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta. I am the Associate Complaints Director, which essentially means I'm a prosecutor of doctors if we get a complaint from the public alleging that they might have done something wrong, they might be unsafe for the public. And so what I do is kind of a hybrid of law and business, because on one hand, I handle the legal aspect of, do we have enough evidence or grounds here to pursue an investigation? What's going to be the sanction if there is an investigation? All the legal stuff that you'll learn about in this course. But I also manage the team of 15 people who are admin and resolution officers and nurses, who intake the complaints, who triage them, who report to me for their reviews and all of their human resources needs, and their personal needs as well. And so I feel like I have a really good idea of the balance between the law and all of the things that come along with being a lawyer, but also for the purposes of this faculty, running a business and the realities and the risk management of a lot of those decisions. And so very excited to share that with you guys. When I'm not at the CPSA, I play a lot of sports. I do a lot of reading and cooking and baking. I teach a lot. I love teaching. It's why I'm here. If you have any lawyers in your life, they don't necessarily need second gigs. But I come here because I like to be here. It is a break for me from my daily life of just stress and complaints and seriousness, to come and see your fresh faces and, get back to the basics and feed off of your energy. In my dream world, I have so many courses that I would create and do in the long run, but I have time for one, and you are it. And so I'm so excited to meet you. My teaching philosophy is really student-centered. And I say that in advance of the activities that we are going to do today, in hopes that you will participate and participate honestly, because the better info in, the better info out. I am an open-minded instructor. I am tough. I have high standards. I expect a lot from you. I expect you guys to be professional and show up on time and be respectful of one another. But I'm also flexible and reasonable and a person in the real world, and will help you get through things as life happens. I want to learn how to teach this generation. This is only my second time teaching undergrad. Before that, I was teaching law students. And frankly, at that time, I was a junior associate when I happened to fall into that course. And so I wasn't that far removed from law school myself. And so I knew exactly what they wanted, exactly what classes they didn't like and the assignments they did like. And now I'm just getting further and further removed from that. And in addition, I'm teaching a younger cohort. And so I'm really open to things like using social media and videos and online content. And as you'll learn today, online participation is going to count just as much as in-person participation in this class. I would like this as much as possible to reflect the real world and get you guys practicing skills that are practical and being evaluated in ways that make practical sense. What you need to know out of this course is when you're out there in the future as a business person, whether or not you're a lawyer, you just need to know when to get that bad feeling of like, we're probably running into some trouble here and I'm gonna call a lawyer and get some advice. And if you can achieve that after this course, I will feel like I've done my job. I also hope to impart some wisdom on you in that time. One of the most fulfilling parts I find about working with your cohort is that it's such a pivotal and busy point of life, and you're making a lot of really big decisions that are really consequential. And I really enjoy helping you guys navigate that aspect of it as well. And so hope to get you some clarity in that regard. Last thing about me is what I'm going to do for office hours this year. You can email me and we can set something up virtually, but you can email me, we can figure out office hours virtually. I have this room booked on Thursdays for a half hour after class, just so I can stick around and hang out, and anybody who wants to can as well. I found that last year we had a lot of just good discussion after class and people hanging around. I also did Monday, Wednesday, Friday last year, which was hectic to run out of the office that many times, but the 50 minutes went quick. So I wonder if after the 90 minutes, you guys are not going to be as interested in sticking around, but we'll see. But if you're not available on Thursdays after class, then you can just email me. We also have a TA in this class. His name is Jack. He took this class last year in a different section than mine, but I met him. He's lovely, very informed on the topic, excited to answer any of your questions, helping me with all of the move to Canvas and all of that, which has been great. And so Jack is Wolder at UAlberta. If you ever email me, just copy Jack. He will probably be faster at getting back to you, but if the question's more appropriate for me, then I'll see it and get back to you when I can. If you use the subject line BLAW 201 in your emails and then just dash whatever the subject of your email is, that helps me filter out my email. I have had Dima at ualberta.ca since 2010 because I was the only Dima apparently that went to the university ever. That email has become where all of the store promotions go to, and I've been really, really trying to clear it out when I came back here, but I do have to do a lot of filtering. So if you can use that subject line, it's really helpful to me. Now I want to get to know a little bit about you. So if you don't mind scanning this QR code, I have some questions queued up. Okay, question number 1. What is your major? Seeing a lot of accounting and finance students here. That's helpful context for me. That's good for me. I used to be a trust and estates lawyer, so I have lots of accounting fun for you guys. Now, this next question, I'm going to ask you to try to answer in one word because this is going to turn into a word map. And knowing your interests is going to help me know what kind of examples to Google to make things interesting to you when I'm trying to explain very boring things. We're going to get along just fine, you guys. This is great. All right, we're gonna work on that professionalism piece that I talked about earlier, but it's the first day, so I'm gonna take it easy on you. It's because there's so many finance people in here. Oh, the emojis are a good idea. Okay, lots of sports. What sports though? Hockey, golf, anime. What are you worried about going into this semester? GPA failing. Last year I had a couple of students, just your attention please, thank you kindly, that when we were doing the online lectures and the office hours had questions about law school or about job interviews and summer internships and stuff like that, that they wanted advice on, and that we kind of circulated among the class afterwards retroactively. And so they had told me this year to try and do some of that on video. And so I'm going to try and take some of these concerns, like I said, work it into the class content, see if I can get you guys as much value as you can, but also see if I can make some separate content for you guys or some office hours stuff to help you with some of these struggles. Like I said, the more honest you are, the better that you'll get out of it. And so in that same breath, what are you looking forward to this semester? So I'm going to take us back here to the course overview. Thank you for indulging. This course can be broken up into 3 sections, really. And so the first couple of chapters are really just giving you some context about what's the law, what is a lawsuit, where does the law come from. You're going to go over all the basics. And then we talk about litigation, the steps in suing somebody, and that's all covered in the first couple of chapters. And then we're going to have chapters 3 and 4, which get into tort law. Tort law, so tort in French is wrong, if that helps you remember. It's a dispute between private individuals. So somebody suing somebody for defamation, for violation of privacy, for breach of contract. And so we're going to go through all of the different kinds of torts, which ones apply to business. And that's kind of the midsection of this course. We're going to stop at chapter 4 and have a midterm really quick here in the beginning of October. Chapters 1 and 2 are going to go through really smoothly. It's really kind of fundamental stuff. And then so you really just have to learn 3 and 4 to get warmed up for the midterm. The reason that I do it that way is that the torts chapters from like 3 to I think it's 7 are just, it's a lot to memorize. It's a lot of different torts, a lot of different elements of those torts and consequences. The really interesting stuff, it's great to learn, but it's a lot to memorize. So I kind of just cut it off halfway through the tort so that you wouldn't have to memorize as much for each exam. The final part of the course, which like I said, chapter 7 to 12, is all on contracts. How we make them, how we can misrepresent ourselves when we're making them, or unduly pressure people, and the consequences that come of that. We talk a lot about sports kind of in the contract stuff. And so overall, it's not that bad. It's there's really 3 topics. We have the quiz, that's just on those first 4 chapters. You're going to have an assignment that I'll talk about here in a second. And then we also have participation and the final exam. The reason that I have the course broken down in the way that I do is I want to give every student the opportunity to do well and to demonstrate their skill set. As a people manager, as a manager of an interdisciplinary team, I know that there's a lot of different ways to be good at things, and it's not necessarily just doing well on an exam. And so I really try and give every opportunity for you to show your skill set, make an impression, and build your confidence and your skill set in all kinds of areas coming out of this. I also want to make this as real world applicable as possible. And I'll talk about that specifically in respect to my participation grade, which is 10%. It's really not that much. If you do really well on the exams, it's honestly probably not going to make or break you. But if you are on the cusp of, one of the grades, it can be the thing that pushes you over. The reason that I choose to include it, because I can't not, is because I work now in a hybrid work environment where some of my team is working at home on their laptops, some are in office. We have days where we all come in, and some people take more liberties than others. And I know that in the real world, arriving in person means something. It actually means a lot. And if you do it, you'll get more credit. If you don't want to do it, I'm recording the lectures. You can learn the material. But for those of you who are getting dressed and coming over here, you're going to get a little bit more credit for that. And I just think fair is fair. Our exams are multiple choice. They're written in Scantron in the person. They'll all be able to be written within the class time. So the 90 minutes here shouldn't put us over about like 50 or 60 questions or so, but I'll finalize the exam and let you guys know better closer to the date. The highest possible average that I can give this class without getting in trouble with the dean is 75%. And I will always give the highest marks out as possible to everybody that I can, because why wouldn't I? There's no pride in that. If I can give you a higher grade, I will. If the actual average on my midterm is 50, then I'm going to bump that up to a 75, and everybody's going to get a letter grade that's representative of your effort. That said, I believe that the exams are fair enough that it will naturally end up in that place. Okay, I'll go over participation, then take any questions. So the 10% is 5%, like I said, actually showing up in person, and Jack is going to help me like create a QR code or something for that attendance. And then the other half of your mark is your actual engagement. And like I said, that can be done online or in person. It includes answering questions in class, asking thoughtful questions in class. It also includes being mindful of the amount of space that you take up in class. So if you're not leaving room for anybody else to answer, or you're taking up too much airtime and making class go over, that's not going to work in your favor. We want balance. And there's lots of already, if you go on YouTube, I'll share the links with you guys. I have a lot of like online content already on the same stuff that we're already going to be learning. If you guys with names that I can recognize, or if you let me know what your other username is or whatever, are commenting and asking thoughtful questions on those videos, not just like thanks for the video or something like that, something thoughtful, that will count for your participation. And then, like I said, I'm working with Jack on getting this all coordinated with Canvas. So the videos should be there for that as well, but I'm not making promises about that until it's actually there. The assignment, the students really liked last year. I totally made this assignment up. It was based off of a friend of mine who owns a boxing gym over on the West End. It's called BLAW. He was a business student actually, but they had a project where they had to present on any business that they were interested in. And he had chose a boxing gym and did his presentation on that, and then graduated, ended up actually opening a gym, and kind of came back to the school for that full circle moment. And when I was having that conversation with him, I'm like, that's such a smart assignment, because it just like makes you find something that you're interested in relation to the class, and automatically get some investment. And so we do something similar. And in this assignment, which last year I called the networking assignment with the class, where you pick any business you're interested in. I saw all the finance and accounting students in here, and I encourage you to think outside of the box here. You don't have to pick an accounting firm. You don't have to pick a wealth, preservation thing at a bank. Like anything you're interested in that you can find somebody to talk to who works in that industry, and then contact somebody in that industry. And the only thing you need to talk to them about is what kind of risks they incur in that business. Where do you run into trouble? What kind of problems are you frequently dealing with? Then you do a little bit of interview, creative freedom up to you about how you go about doing that. If you want to record it, you can record it. Eventually you'll make a video of what you found. So if you want to use clips of that and get creative, again, creative liberty is up to you guys. I won't micromanage that. But you ask them about the risks of that business. And then on our course website, I have a list of all of the topics that we're going to learn in this course. A lot of them I already mentioned today. And then you just have to pick one of those topics. Maybe all of them will be applicable. Maybe more than one will be like super applicable. Just pick one that might be relevant to that business and explain why. And that's all it is. That's the assignment. You put that together in like a 1-minute video. Last year they had to do in-person presentations. It was just too much to orchestrate with 85 kids. So this year we're going to do videos that are posted to the course website for you guys to comment on one another's. And also, again, just trying to stay with the times. I feel like content creation on videos and editing and presenting information that way might be more relevant to you guys anyways. And then it's just a 400-word reflection, so like half page, not on the stuff that you put in the video. So not on the business and the risks and the areas of law that are applicable. The reflection is just, why are you interested in that business? What do you think you did well during your networking and interview process? What's something that you would improve upon next time? And that's just to get you self-evaluating, being objective, reflecting a little bit. It's a good habit to get into anytime you do anything. There's a saying that's like, you never did as well as you think, and you never did as bad as you think. And so it's always a good practice when you're doing a project or anything. Even when I tape these classes and then look back mortified about like how the angle or something afterwards, what you did well and what could have gone better, because both will always exist. For some examples of what students did last year, somebody interviewed the owner of a local bakery. And an example of an area that could be relevant to the bakery is negligence, because when you are preparing food for people, you have obligations in terms of packaging the labels and warning labels for allergies and food sensitivities and stuff like that. And if you don't do that properly, you could be liable for negligence. And so that's a possible connection there. Somebody else interviewed a hockey coach. A possible topic that could be related to professional sports is negotiating contracts or misrepresenting terms when you are negotiating with the player. Somebody else did a construction project manager. This is a tort occupier's liability, is a tort that we'll learn about where the owner of a property has obligations to keep it hazard-free and safe. And if you don't do that and somebody gets injured, you'll be liable for that. What else did I want to say about that? I think that's it. It's a really good opportunity. A lot of students did family members. I have no problem of you doing somebody in your inner circle and building that connection, learning more about that. A lot of students took it as an opportunity to actually network for summer jobs. And I was really pleased at the end of this year now coming back hearing, from those that got jobs out of it and how their summers went. And so I encourage you to take that opportunity to make a connection and an excuse to talk to somebody that you wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to talk to. And if you leverage that, to go a really long way. All right. Okay. So one thing I want to know is what you've heard about this course. So what are the preconceived notions that you have coming in? I'm hiding the answers here. Lots of memorization, that it's difficult. Some people enjoyed it. The exams are hard. That it's easy. See, it's interesting. More theory than calculations. That's absolutely true. Time consuming, potentially. So last year we got really lucky. Just as soon as we started talking about defamation, the Drake and Kendrick beef went down. And so we just got to follow that I felt like a YouTuber. Just every day I'm like, okay, I have an update on the case. And I have to remind myself after this to email them because things have happened over the summer. But there's lots going on right now in the media. There's the Blake Lively thing. There's the Cardi B thing. There's just people are suing. And so I'm not aware of it all. And I'm interested in what you guys are interested in. The Diddy stuff is harder because it's more criminal and we don't really we do like barely a few pages on crim stuff. Okay, Roblox, I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, lovely. And so I'm gonna have kind of similar discussion boards on Canvas for you guys as things come up, as you have ideas for different kinds of content or examples or things that are going on in the media, to share your ideas, because your algorithms will be different than mine. And it'll be fun to know kind of what things we want to keep up with there. If you have any questions about this class after today, to go ahead and put them in there, and I would be happy to address them next class or on an individual basis if you guys like. But that's all that I have for you today. We're going to start risk management on Thursday. Thank you very much for your participation.